So let's start with Alabama, Shane. And before you make a decision here, just throwing this out there because I thought, the account, they do a great job if you're not following them already. SEC, I think it's Vids, SEC Vids or SEC Football Vids. I apologize if I got that wrong, but they got a ton of followers. Just type that in, you'll find them. This is a stat they put out, Shane, with the all SEC teams that just have been coming out.
Yeah.
For the first time since 2013, and only the second time under Nick Saban, Alabama did not have a single quarterback, running back, receiver, or tight end be named all SEC first team. Now, when I see that, Shane, and I put this out there and I'm getting buried for it, Alabama's not developing their talent because we're sitting here saying, well, where's these receivers? They had to add Jahmyr. A lot of people say, well, what the hell are you talking about? Jahmyr Gibbs looks pretty awesome. Well, they added him via the transfer portal. You know what I mean? So they don't get a ton of credit for developing him. And I realize Bryce Young is outstanding. They do get credit for that, no doubt. But hell, he wasn't named first team, so something went wrong here. But that's just maybe it's just a sign of times because of the transfer windows and all that. But I say all that to ask you, Shane, are you buying, selling, or holding Nick Saban's Alabama program?
That's tough, man. That is very tough. And what do you and you think about it, okay? So when I think buy, sell, or hold, well, look at the season: 10-2, no SEC championship, no college football playoffs. You're losing maybe one of the best quarterbacks to ever play college football. Naturally you think, well, definitely sell. If you're losing a guy at that caliber, Bryce could, if he would have won those two games, there would be no doubt who the Heisman candidate would be. So I think part of you just naturally wants to sell Nick Saban, but I'm not. I'm going to hold. And I'm going to tell you why, Mike, because I think one of the biggest problems that Alabama had this year was not just the offense, but how it played. And I'm not convinced that they're going to go into another season. And I'm not saying Bill O'Brien's fired. I'm not saying he's transferring out. But I'm not also saying he's not going to get a little support, because you think about even his NFL career. When he went to Houston Texans and they started struggling, he wasn't calling the plays. He says, hey, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to start calling the plays. And what happens? He gets fired. So he comes over to Alabama to get rehabbed. And what did we get? We get an Alabama offense that's not the offenses we signed up for, especially when you've got the number one draft pick at quarterback. So I'm going to hold, because I think this offense will get improvement. I think this defense is going to stay steady, but I do think that we're going to get some improvement with them. The moment you doubt Nick Saban is the moment he kicks you in the ass. So the fact that Nick Saban is still around, he has not retired, he's coming back for another year, and that team is absolutely loaded. I'm thinking that we just got ourselves a bad crop, and we're just a couple of transfer portal hits away from having another hell of a season down there in Tuscaloosa. So I'm going to hold on them right now. The only reason I'm not buying on Alabama is because I don't know who's going to be the quarterback next year.
Well, Shane, that was a lot of words for you dancing around a subject you didn't want to hit on. Sell them Crimson Tide. And I'll tell you why, Shane. I mean, I've said it before. This is Georgia's league now.
Yeah.
It certainly looks that way. And we're not grading Alabama on a normal scale. We're grading Alabama on an elite scale, because that's the standard Nick Saban set in Tuscaloosa. Now, that doesn't mean they'll never win the SEC again. May not. They may win another national championship. But I don't know the likelihood of that with LSU rising, with A&M a play caller away from being there, Ole Miss rising. Now we got Hugh Freeze to deal with. I think Nick Saban, that's the one coach he didn't want to see down there at Auburn. You know what? Hugh Freeze. So, there's a lot standing in Alabama's way, and I think you hit on the most critical piece, Shane. They're struggling for their standard, not for most standard, but for their standard, with the best player in the country, with the soon-to-be number 1 overall player in the NFL draft, should he declare Bryce Young. Just imagine what they're going to look like with a downgrade. Because how can you possibly do any better than that? So I'm selling. I'm selling Alabama stock right now until proven otherwise.
And here's what happens. Drake May hits the portal. Alabama gets richer. And Mike is getting clipped and put on Frozen Takes again.